This is utter chaos. I realised yesterday that there was just too much mess for me to even be able to get around my garden. So today it is time for the mid-project tidy. I want to know, do you do this too? Am I the only person that stops mid-project to have a major tidy? I just don't like having things under my feet, having a fear that I'm going to trip over something. No, it's just not my vibe. I also know it's time for the big project tidy when I stop being able to find my tools. Let's see how much of this stuff we can get rid of. The wood in the background, most of it is going to the recycling centre, stuff that I don't need anymore. If there's stuff that's untreated, I'll put it in my wood burner, but I don't think there's much there. It would have been treated with a decking oil of some sort when I first put the deck up. There's loads of decking there that I had previously used for the flooring. It's all still really good quality. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to use that to make some planters. So everything here is going to be reused or recycled. When I took this deck up, I took up the old weed protector floor covering. I thought maybe I could reuse it, but it was in such bad condition that it just wasn't worth it. I popped out and I picked up some more heavy duty weed protection to go on the ground before I build the deck. I wouldn't install it without it because you'd be surprised where weeds can grow. The seeds get blown about all over the place and you find them in all the crevices, and then you've got plants growing out of your decking. We don't want that. I sorted through the wood to see what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to get rid of, and any of the wood that I didn't want, I cut down into smaller pieces so I could stick it in some rubble sacks. This will make it a little bit easier to take down the recycling centre. Not all of it wanted to come apart because, as you would have seen in previous videos, I made this deck too well. It was too good. Okay, I wasn't going to gloat, but I need you to know that I managed to do 4 loads of washing today. Okay. I feel accomplished. To be able to store some of the stuff that's in the garden, taking up space, being a trip hazard, I need to be able to put it in the shed. But of course, like so many of my DIYs, I start with one job and then it leads me into having to do something else just to be able to finish the first job. So I needed to clean out my shed. My barbecue has been sitting in my greenhouse for a few days and it's making it really hard to go in and water my plants. I really wanted to put that in here. I had a bunch of old wood in here that I was saving for different projects. It was all still really good wood, except there was a few bits that I thought kind of wouldn't ever be used. So I chopped those bits up and put those in the bags for the recycling centre. Oh, nice. Did you do that yourself? And the rest of the garden is now also tidy as well. I have fit the mid-project tidy into about 3 minutes in this video, but I would like you to know that it actually took me a whole day. I did the mid-project tidy when I got back from holiday, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the stuff that I did the next day. I always knew that building this frame was going to be particularly tricky because I'm keeping these fence posts at their full length. Unlike the deck that I had before, where they were cut off quite short and the decking went over them. The reason this time that I have decided to keep them long is a few reasons. First of all, I can use them as a trellis. I can have plants trailing up the sides. I can also add on one of them a little hook so I can hang my hammock on there. It usually sits above the pond, and it was previously hanging from the post that is on the far left there. And the very final one that I've been waiting to tell you about is that I want to create this into a mini pergola. I'm going to add some wood around the top and some wooden slats above this so that I could find a way to protect myself if I'm in the hot tub and it's raining. Well, to be honest, I don't mind so much when it's raining. In fact, when it's hot and the rain is coming down and it's very cool, it's actually a very serene, relaxing experience. What's more likely is that I'm going to need to use the pergola to be able to protect myself from the sun. Because when it's really hot, it can get very intense in there. I've drawn on both of these posts where I need to drill into and attach this piece of wood. This was super awkward. I'm trying to pull it out the hole and then trying to drill this post in. The trouble is, when I lift this post up at the back, the whole thing wants to fall over. I really have to use all of my strength, both physically and mentally, to keep this in place. And what makes this particular part so much more challenging is that I need to work out what angle to screw this in so that it will be slightly sloped. The mark that I made on the wood was for the completely level piece of wood. But for every metre, you're going to want to drop the piece of wood by about 2 millimetres so that there's a slope for rainwater to run off. As this decking is about 2 metres wide, I decided to make the left-hand side piece of wood here about 4 millimetres lower than it's supposed to be so that it wouldn't be level. But as you'll find out in a minute, I still didn't manage to get the angle correct. I only installed one screw in the back rather than two so that I would be able to use it a bit like a lever and move it up and down depending on where it needed to rest in the end. Now this is fun. What you're seeing here is a two-person job. I walked away from this not really knowing if it was going to fall over or not. I moved it around a little bit to sort of work out where it would eventually rest. This was quite precarious. I then just double-checked to make sure that it was slightly sloping to discover that it was perfectly level. How did I do that? How did I manage by accident to make it perfectly level? And when I try to make it level, is it level? No, it's not level. Oh, honestly, I exasperated. So I spent some time looking at the bubble to see if it would change. I made this other piece of wood level just to see if that was having any sort of effect on what I was doing. And again, lots of watchy and no doey. Some watchy, no doey from a different direction. And then I had to watch it from this direction because that seemed important. Yeah, here too. I added the final side just to get a view of what it will look like. Then, of course, a little bit of watchy. Oh my god. Honestly, it's embarrassing watching this back and just seeing how often I seem to stand around. Okay, this was another day. Notice the minor outfit change. I did a couple of days' work on the weekend after I came back from holiday. I didn't get any time off because this project is up against a deadline. I need to finish it in time for tomorrow. So that's why we've got a little bit of content to catch up on, which is great because I'm actually doing some work today with a client on a special project that I can't tell you about yet. I started out just by double checking if everything was level, and it was, and I realised I was making my job a whole lot harder for myself because I couldn't actually see the bubble on the level. And why is that, you might be asking? I have used this level for a couple of years in a number of different projects and using a number of different materials. This looks like it might be covered in mortar, probably. But yeah, can't even see the bubble. So I tried to scratch it off with the edge of that broom, but it wasn't working. So I just found this bit of material to get more of it off. This bit of material actually happens to be an old peg bag that broke. It had a little hanger in there that was wooden, and it sort of broke when it was in my shed one day. But this I actually made. I made this because this is my previous business. I used to make textile homewares, and this was one of the things that I made. And good to know it stood the test of time. Anyway, back to the decking. When I last worked on this bit, I made it accidentally level, so we need to make this not level today. I spent a little bit of time on this where I was pulling this post back out of the hole, adjusting it a little bit further down, checking to see if it was level, and when it wasn't I would have to do it again. But eventually I did manage to get it to be slightly off level. It was such awkward work though, as you can see here, like I'm really having to squeeze behind there to get the drill in. Not to mention the fact that it was actually very, very windy on this day, and it wasn't long before my phone kind of went... Oh no, I didn't really want that to happen. I tried to work out if I needed to add a post in the middle, not for the decking itself, but for my hammock. When I installed my hammock the first time, I realised that the two posts I'd installed it between were a little bit too close together. I thought maybe if I installed one a bit further out here, I might be able to get a better angle on my hammock. I eventually realised that I wouldn't need to, because the post that I'm installing now is a lot taller, so I can just add the clip a little bit higher. Maybe I'll explain that when I can show it to you in person. Meanwhile, thought I'd help myself to the fridge. Got all sorts going on in here. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, look at that. There's probably loads of bugs on it, but I'm going to eat it anyway. A couple of caterpillars and a few slugs never hurt anyone. Oh, I forgot this bit. Maybe I'm going to show you the hammock after all. Well, this is what it looks like anyway. It's got two clips at two ends, and I need to put them in between two long posts. Ah, yeah, that's right. I tied them up because this made them a little bit shorter, but I'd like to be able to untie those and have it as it was intended to be. That's going to take me a long time to untie that. Of course, I've been lying in it, so it's really, really tight. Oh my goodness, how did I forget about all this content that I did? So yeah, this is just what I was saying before. When I originally had this hung up, the post was nowhere near this tall. So the whole angle of the hammock was weird. It didn't work. It was too low. My bum cheeks were practically in the pond. I'm pretty sure this is the moment where I realised that my previous post was a lot shorter and that I could just put it higher and it would be fine. You can see the cogs going in my head. So anyway, point was, I'm not going to use that post in the middle. I gave it some thought, realised I didn't need it, gonna leave it out. Oh my goodness, I really gave this quite a lot of thought. I mean, not to say that it's not important. My hammock comfort is very important. It just tickles me to watch it back. Like, she's so serious. It's a serious business. Oh, that's right, we were making a deck. Okay, so I drew out this little diagram because I wanted to work out how many boards I could fit onto this wider deck. I sort of know how wide the deck needs to be at an absolute minimum, but I don't want to cut any of these boards in half directly down the middle, so I only want to make it as wide as a specific number of boards. And I discovered that that number was 15. If I make it 15 boards wide, then that's going to be wide enough to fit my hot tub. And why is this important? It's important because that dictates where the posts are going to be set into the ground. That's why I'm measuring here from the far left right out to where I want the post to now be, so that it fits 15 boards. Fab. Now I know the position the other two posts need to be. I am going to pause it there for today because I am running out of words. On my secret project that I mentioned that I've been doing today, I have to use my words quite a lot, so I'm surprised that I have any left. But let me pick this project back up with you tomorrow for your next instalment of me building this deck. And as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to this channel.